Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read Genesis 11 to 15, Proverbs 16, and Psalm 19. Let's get started. The whole world had only one language, and everyone spoke it. They moved to the east and found a broad valley in Babylon. There they made their home, and they said to one another, "Come on, let's make bricks and bake them well." They used bricks instead of stones. They used tar to hold the bricks together. Then they said, "Come on, let's build a city for ourselves. Let's build a tower that reaches to the sky. And we'll make a name for ourselves. Then we won't be scattered over the whole earth." The Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. He said, "All these people are united and speak the same language. That is why they can do all this. Now they will be able to do anything they plan. Come on, let us go down and mix up their language. Then they will not be able to understand one another." So the Lord scattered them from there over the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. There the Lord mixed up the language of the whole world. That's why the city was called Babel. From there the Lord scattered them over the whole earth. Here's the story of Shem's family line. It was 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old. He became the father of Arphaxad. After Arphaxad was born, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. After Shelah was born, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. After Eber was born, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. After Peleg was born, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. After Reu was born, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. After Serug was born, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. After Nahor was born, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. After Terah was born, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah was 70 years old, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Here's the story of Terah's family line. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. Haran died in the city of in Babylonia, the land where he was born. Haran died while his father Terah was still alive. Abram and Nahor both got married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. The name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran. Haran was the father of Milcah and Iscah, but Sarai wasn't able to have children. Terah left in Babylon. He took with him his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran. Terah also took his son, daughter-in-law Sarah, the wife of his son Abram. All of them left together to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they made their home there. Terah lived for 205 years, and then he died in Haran. The Lord had said to Abraham, Go from your country, your people, and your father's family. Go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. And I will make your name great. You will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you. I will put a curse on anyone who puts a curse on you. All nations on earth will be blessed because of you. So Abraham went, just as the Lord had told him. Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot. They took all the people and possessions they had acquired in Haran. They started out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abraham traveled through the land. He went as far as the large tree of Moreh at Shechem. At that time the Canaanites were living in the land. The Lord appeared to Abraham at Shechem. He said, I will give this land to your family who comes after you. So Abraham built an altar there to honor the Lord who had appeared to him. From there, Abraham went on toward the hills east of Bethel. He set up his tent there. Bethel was to the west, and Ai was to the east. Abraham built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abraham left and continued south toward the Negev desert. At that time there was not enough food in the land, so Abraham went down to Egypt to live there for a while. As he was about to enter Egypt, he spoke to his wife Sarah. He said, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. The people of Egypt will see you and say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. Tell them you are my sister. Then I will be treated well, and my life will be spared because of you." Abraham arrived in Egypt. The Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. When Pharaoh's officials saw her, they told Pharaoh how beautiful she was. She was taken into his palace. Pharaoh treated Abraham well because of her. So Abraham gained more sheep and cattle and male and female donkeys. He used to gain more servants, male and female servants, and some camels. But the Lord sent terrible sickness on Pharaoh and everyone in his palace. The Lord did it because of Abraham's wife Sarah. So Pharaoh said for Abraham, "What have you done to me?" He said, "Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she was your sister? That's why I took her to be my wife. Now then, here's your wife. Take her and go." Then Pharaoh gave orders to his men about Abraham. They sent him on his way. So he left with his wife and everything he had. Abraham went out from Egypt to the Negev desert. He took his wife and everything he had. Lot went with him. Abraham had become very rich. He had a lot of livestock and silver and gold. Abraham left the Negev desert. He went from place to place until he came to Bethel. Then he came to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier. There he called on the name of the Lord at the altar he had built. Lot was moving around with Abraham. Lot also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land didn't have enough food for both Abraham and Lot. They had large herds and many servants, so they weren't able to stay together. The people who took care of Abraham's herds and those who took care of Lot's herds began to argue. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. So Abraham said to Lot, "Let's not argue with each other. The people taking care of your herds and those taking care of mine shouldn't argue with one another either. After all, we're part of the same family. Isn't the whole land in front of you? Let's separate. If we go to the left, I'll go to the right. If we go to the right, I'll go to the left." Lot looked around. He saw that the whole Jordan River valley toward the town of Zor had plenty of water. It was like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose the whole Jordan River valley for himself. Then he started out toward the east. The two men separated. Abraham lived in the land of Canaan. Lot lived among the cities of the Jordan River valley. He set up his tents near Sodom. The people of Sodom were evil. They were sinning greatly against the Lord. The Lord spoke to Abraham after Lot had left him. He said, "Look around from where you are. Look north and south, east and west. I will give you all the land you see. I will give it forever to you and your family who comes after you. I will make them like the dust of the earth. Can dust be counted? If it can, then your family can be counted. Go, walk through the land. See how long and wide it is. I am giving it to you." So Abraham went to live near the large trees of Mamre and Hebron. There he pitched his tents and built an altar to honor the Lord. Amraphel was the king of Babylon. Arioch was the king of Elzah. Kedorlaomer was the king of Elam. Netiah was the king of Goyim. They went to war against 5 other kings. They were Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela. Bela was also called Zor. These 5 kings all gathered their armies together in the valley of Siddim. It was also called the Valley of the Dead Sea. For 12 years, Kedorlaomer had ruled over them. In the 13th year, they opposed him. So in the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings who helped him went to war. They won the battle against the Rephaites in Ashtaroth Karnaim. They also won the battle against the Zazites in Ham and the Emites in Shaveth Kiriathaim. They did the same thing to the Horites in the hill country of Seir. They marched all the way to El Paran near the desert. Then they turned back and went to En Mishpath. En Mishpath was also called Kadesh. They took over the whole territory of the Amalekites. They also won the battle against the Amorites who were living in Hazazon Tamar. Then the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela marched out. Bela was also called Saul. They marched up their armies for battle in the valley of Siddim. They got ready to fight against Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, Amraphel, king of Babylon, and Arioch, king of Elasar. There were 4 kings against 5. The valley of Siddim was full of tar pits. The kings of Sodom and Gomorrah ran away from the battle. Some of their men fell into the pits, but the rest escaped to the hills. 4 kings took all the things that belonged to Sodom and Gomorrah. Then they also took all their food and left. They carried away Abraham's nephew Lot and the things he owned. Lot was living in Sodom at that time. The man escaped and came to report everything to Abraham. Abraham was a Hebrew. He was living near the large trees of Mamre the Amorite. Mamre was the brother of the Eshcol and Aner. All of them helped Abraham. Abraham heard that Lot had been captured, so he called out his 318 trained men. All of them were sons of his servants. Abraham and his men chased their enemies as far as Dan. During the night, Abraham separated his men into groups. They attacked their enemies and drove them away. Then he chased them north of Damascus as far as Hobah. Abraham took back everything the kings Lot and the kings had taken. He brought back his nephew Lot and the things Lot owned. He also brought back the women and the other people. After Abraham won the battle over Kedorlaomer and the kings who helped him, he returned home. The king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Sheba. It was also called the King's Valley. Melchizedek was the king of Jerusalem. He brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of the Most High God. He gave a blessing to Abram. He said, "May the Most High God bless Abram. May the Creator of heaven and earth bless him. Give praise to the Most High God. He gave your enemies into your hand." And then Abraham gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abraham, "Give me the people. Keep everything else for yourself." But Abraham said to the king of Sodom, "I have raised my hand to make a promise to the Lord. He is the Most High God. He is the Creator of heaven and earth. What I have said, I will not accept anything that belongs to you. I will not take even a thread or the strap of a sandal. You will never be able to say, 'I made Abraham rich.' I will accept only what my men have eaten and what belongs to Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. These 3 men met with me. Let them have their share." Sometime later, Abraham had a vision. The Lord said to him, "Abraham, do not be afraid. I am like a shield to you. I am your very great reward." But Abraham said, "Lord and King, what can you give me? I still don't have any children. My servant Eliezer comes from Damascus. When I die, he will get everything I own." Abraham continued, "You haven't given me any children, so this servant of mine will get everything I own." Then a message from the Lord came to Abraham. The Lord said, "When you die, what you have will not go into this man. You'll have a son of your own. He will get everything you have." The Lord took Abraham outside and said, "Look up at the sky, count the stars, if you can." Then he said to him, "That's how many children will be born into your family." Abraham believed the Lord. The Lord was pleased with Abraham because he believed. So Abraham's faith made him right with the Lord. He also said to Abraham, "I am the Lord. I brought you out of the land of Babylon. I will give you this land to have as your very own." But Abraham said, "Lord and King, how can I know I will have this land as my own?" So the Lord said to him, "Bring me a young cow, a goat, and a ram. Each must be 3 years old. Bring a dove and a young pigeon along with them." Abraham brought all of them to the Lord. Abraham cut them in 2 and placed the halves opposite each other. No, he didn't cut the birds in half. Then large birds came down to eat the dead bodies of the animals and birds. But Abraham chased the large birds away. As the sun was going down, Abraham fell into a deep sleep. A thick and scary darkness covered him. Then the Lord said to her, "You can be sure of what I am about to tell you. For 400 years, your family who comes after you will be strangers in another country. They will become slaves there and be treated badly. But I will punish the nation that makes them slaves. After that, they will leave with many possessions, but you will die in peace. You will join the members of your family who have already died, and you will be buried when you are very old. Your children's grandchildren will come back here. That's because the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached this point where I must punish them." The sun set, and it became dark. Then a burning torch and a pot filled with smoking coals appeared, and he passed between the pieces of the animals that had been cut in two. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram. He said, "I am giving this land to your family who comes after you. It reaches from the river of Egypt to the great Euphrates River. It includes the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Rephaites. The Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites also live there." Abram's wife Sarai. Proverbs 16. The Lord makes plans in the people make plans in their hearts, but the Lord puts the correct answer on their tongues. Everything a person does might seem pure to them, but the Lord knows why they do what they do. Commit to the Lord everything you do, then He'll make your plan succeed. The Lord works everything out to the proper end. Even those who do wrong were made for a day of trouble. The Lord hates all those who have proud hearts. You can be sure that they will be punished. Through love and truth, sin is painful. People avoid evil when they have respect for the Lord. When the way you live pleases the Lord, it makes even your enemies live at peace with you. It's better to have a little and do right than to have a lot and be unfair. In their hearts, human beings plan their lives, but the Lord decides where their steps will take them. The king speaks as if his words come from God, and what he says does not turn right into wrong. When scales and balances belong to the Lord, He made all the weights in the bag. A king hates it when his people do what is wrong. A ruler is made secure when they do what is right. Kings are pleased when what you say is honest. They value people who speak what is right. An angry king can order your death, but a wise person will try to calm him down. When a king's face is happy, it means life. His favor is like rain in the spring. It is much better to get wisdom than gold. It is much better to choose understanding than silver. The path of honest people takes them away from evil. Those who guard their ways guard their lives. If you are proud, you will be destroyed. If you are proud, you will fall. Suppose you are lonely in spirit along with those who are treated badly. That's better than sharing stolen goods with those who are proud. If anyone pays attention to what they're taught, they will succeed. Blessed is the person who trusts in the Lord. Nice hearts are known for understanding what is right. Kind words make people want to learn more. Understanding is like a fountain of life to those who have it. The foolish people are punished for the foolish things they do. The hearts of wise people guard their mouths. Their words make people want to learn more. Kind words are like honey. They are sweet to the spirit and bring healing to the body. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. The hunger of workers makes them work. Their hunger drives them on. A worthless person plans to do evil things. Their words are like a burning fire. A twisted person stirs up conflict. Anyone who talks about others separates close friends. A person who wants to hurt others tries to get them to sin. That person leads them down a path that isn't good. Willful lips with their eyes planning to do. Whoever closes their lips tightly is up to no good. Gray hair is the glorious crown. You get it by living the right way. It's better to be patient than to fight. It's better to control your temper than to take C. Lots are cast into the lap to make decisions, but everything they decide comes from the Lord. Psalm 19. The heavens tell about the glory of the Lord. The sky shows that His hands created them. Day after day they speak about it. Night after night they make it known. They don't speak or use words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes into the whole earth. Their words go out from one end of the world to the other. God has set up a tent in the heavens for the sun. The sun is like a groom leaving the room of his wedding night. The sun is like a great runner who takes delight in running a race. It rises at one end of the heavens, and then it makes it across to the other end. Everything enjoys its belongs. The law of the Lord is perfect. It gives us new strength. The law of the Lord can be trusted. They make charge people wise. The rules of the Lord are right. They give joy to our hearts. The commands of the Lord shine brightly. They give light to our minds. The law that brings respect for the Lord is pure. It lasts forever. The commands the Lord gives are true. All of them are completely right. They are more priceless than gold. They have greater value than huge amounts of pure gold. They are sweeter than honey that is taken from the honeycomb. And your servant is warned by them. When people obey them, they are greatly rewarded. But who can know their own mistakes? Forgive my hidden faults. Also keep me from the sins I want to commit. May they not be my master. But then I will be without blame. I will not be guilty of any great sin against your law. Lord, may the words of my mouth please you, and may these thoughts of my heart please you also. You are my rock and my redeemer. Now the stand, I shall now do the Lord's Prayer. Let's bow our heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as you also forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.